Hello, and welcome to Season 2 of Wonderstruck. I am your host, Elizabeth Rovere. I'm a clinical psychologist, a yoga teacher, and a graduate of Harvard Divinity School. I'm really curious about our experiences of wonder and awe and how they transform us. My guest this time is healer and world-renowned Qigong master Robert Peng. We recorded our conversation last summer at Wonderstruck's Symposium on Wisdom and Pedagogy in France. This year's symposium, focusing on consciousness, will be held this summer in Scotland. The story of Robert Peng developing extraordinary powers begins during the Chinese Cultural Revolution. At 8 years old, he started apprenticing with a legendary monk named Xiao Yao. Known for his healing abilities, martial arts skills, and ways of defying both perception and what many consider to be reality, Xiao Yao made the impossible possible. In one story Robert tells about his master, Xiao Yao is struck with an axe, but instead of the master being injured, the axe marks appeared on a tree nearby. Soon Peng himself could do the seemingly impossible too, and he explains that it was all about cultivating his qi. So what is qi? Is it something only for the master, or is it a life force we all possess? In our conversation, Robert clarifies what qi really is, where it comes from, and what it has to do with the energy centers of Chinese medicine. He also reveals how he uses his learnings to both save lives and improve hundreds of thousands of others. You know, we have to just start because in case folks listening don't know what Qigong is, I'm wondering if you can give like the short description of what actually this is as a Qigong master.
Yeah. Well, Qigong are two words. One is Qi. Qi is the most essential energies that make us, everybody is what it's supposed to be. Not everybody, everything. Yeah. Say if you have a piece of paper, you tear it, the Qi that holds this piece of paper is one, it's broken. Yeah. So that is that substantial energies that flows inside the body, that holds everything together. Yeah, in Chinese we say you have good qi quality. We are made up the same kind of atoms, molecules even, but look, everybody is different. The difference is the quality of qi. Yeah. So that's the energy, or we call it bioenergy. Yeah, bioenergy. The energy that make us as what it is. So that's the essence of the qi. Gong means practice. If I say kung fu, you know.
Yes, yes.
Actually, gong means kung fu. It's a short name to say kung fu. Kung fu is from kung fu. It's Cantonese word to say kung fu or kung fu. Now we say kung fu is like martial art, right?
Right, right.
Actually, kung fu originally can mean something you have to dedicate for a certain period of time. You can say, it took me 2 hours of kung fu to write this poem.
Oh.
Yeah, it take this company 20 years of kung fu to build this bridge.
Oh,
so concentrated hard work.
So hard work, practice.
Hard work, practice, yeah, and continuous. Kung fu takes a lot of effort, so that is another meaning, martial art. We still use kung fu as in our daily language. You say, well, do you have some kung fu that we can have some tea together?
Oh, really?
Some time. Some time.
Wow, fascinating.
Yeah. So Qigong put it together means the cultivate of bioenergy, the essence of the energy.
Cultivation of bioenergy and the essence of energy. And you know, I read your wonderful book, The Master Key, and in that, you know, you describe qi as this life force and kind of talk about it in a way as a bit of a universal, like things like prana or ka, or you know, like literally like life force.
Yeah.
These are, or I think it's ruach in Hebrew.
Yeah, ruach.
That these are, that this is a kind of a common understanding of something that now we don't know much about in the modern world.
Yeah, that's right. I think in ancient times, the ancient philosopher or meditators, they, through their inner cultivation, because when they meditate, they can feel and sense and actually witness so many things that we cannot see in our naked eyes, or even with high advanced technologies. And they may put it down or they may pass it on. And that is their special ways of observing qi. So although we don't name it the same, but that's from different observer or ancestors, they put it down. So prana, kai. In Japan, Reiki.
Reiki.
Reiki, although it's not ancient, but Reiki, for me as a Chinese who don't know Japanese, if I read it, it means spiritual qi.
Oh, wow, fascinating.
Yeah, so qi is going beyond the physical. That is the hard things for people to comprehend, especially for Western people, because Western people are so good with statistics, science, evidence, double blind, all those things. But the meditation, the cultivation of qi goes into your personal. Nowadays, we say the quantum physics is getting quite close to understand the qi. Because say when you observe it, it's particle. When you don't observe it, it's waves. So one thing can be the same, can be two different demonstrations. That is exactly like what qi is like. When you concentrate, meditate, they work. According to the Buddhism, everyone is born sufficient with energy, meaning you have the Buddha nature.
Right.
The Buddha is not something. Actually, it is enlightenment. Is that he began to realize that we all possess something, but through some cultivations, your healing power, your spiritual power, your psychic power, mediumship, all this are stored here in your body, especially inside your head. We call it upper dantian. They store the energies of wisdom. So when the energy here is strong and healthy, you feel guided. Feel guided, like you always make good decisions, no matter in times of time or the way, not logically, but like intuitively.
Yes.
It's like you have a good GPS inside the head, right?
Yes.
When in your life you're supposed to turn left or turn right, there is a magic hand helps to maneuver the wheel of life. We call it upper dantian. Dantian. In the concentrated energy, light up. In my Qigong, we call it elixir light Qigong because we use a lot of light.
Right. And
dantian, D-A-N-T-I-A-N, is a very interesting term. It's Taoist term.
Okay.
Because dan means elixir. Elixir means pearl, meaning concentrated something, right? Because when you concentrate, then they became the energy, like laser.
Yes.
They're all ordinary light, but when they concentrate it, then it can be so powerful and it cuts through big, thick things. The same with our practice. When we practice, when every meridian is cleared, then it's very easy for you to concentrate, then it becomes to be powerful. That's called dan, elixir. Tian, T-I-A-N, means field. Field is spread it. It's an area, right?
Right.
This area is a dan, then tian. It's contradictory from the word itself, but it's very meaningful. Nowadays we know from modern physics, there's no limit of how small it is. Even the smallest, you still have like big world. Right. In I think it's William Blake, or it's even the smallest. Actually, in Buddhism they call that too. In the smallest grain of sand, you still hold several universes.
Yes.
Meaning there's no limit how small it is.
Yes.
We know that atoms, electrons, free electrons versus to atoms is like little ping pong ball versus the big hall of stadium.
Right.
So it's huge space, even in that tiny space.
Okay.
That is the same as a qi, actually. Qi, there's no limit of how small it is. That's why we can do the Qigong healing remotely.
Yes.
We have a saying, where your mind goes, your qi goes.
Right.
You think about New York City, your qi out there. Right. But the problem is it goes away. But through practice, we can make it fixed or make it concentrated, then you really get connections with the energy in New York City, in Paris, in wherever. And you can even use these ways to empower your feng shui, the energy in your properties.
Wow.
Yeah, because the energy in the property is very interesting.
You got to slow down 1 second though, because it's like you've been saying amazing things.
Yeah.
I want to just clarify. So dantian, you're talking about the upper dantian, which is kind of like the place of wisdom, or like an internal GPS that's very intuitive.
Yeah.
Is an incredible, like laser-like energy, and within the context of a field as well.
Yeah.
And that's something that is cultivated, right?
That
through
is
Qigong,
cultivated.
through meditation.
Yeah.
And that you can channel it through the sword
Through
finger.
the meridian. Yeah. The
Through the
meridian is
meridian.
another amazing concept about the energy channels. Yeah, energy channel. Because the, acupuncture they do with the meridians.
Yes.
Yeah. Or internal organs. It's not just there, but they have extensions to go connect with your fingers, have the access to go out through some part of the finger point, energy point, we call it acupuncture points. The amazing thing is that still nowadays, there's no direct anatomy to find meridian. That's why people still think, does it exist?
Right.
Yeah. You can have anatomy with all the nerves, but why meridians does not exist? The problem is that it works.
Yes.
Big time.
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, my understanding or explanations is simple. It doesn't mean that you cannot find it with a dead body. It doesn't exist in the living person, because meridian exists with the breath. When you stop the breathing, the meridian disappears. That's why you cannot find it in the dead body.
So what happens then to this energy, this breath, the energy on the breath, or when a person dies, does it go? Where does it go?
Well,
and what does Qigong think about the context?
Yeah, what we call it spirit, right?
Right.
Yeah. I believe it. My master, of course, yeah, he's a Buddhist monk. They believe past life. They believe future life. Yeah. And I believe so, because there are so many things I find that you cannot explain. You can make it happen for this life. Impossible. Every people you meet, if you know their story, you find they always have some connections with some part of their.
Look at Qigong, right? Like where it's partly, it's in Buddhism, it's in Taoism, it's in the Shaolin tradition. So it kind of expands through these traditions, but some Buddhist traditions, there's not so much of an interest in the physicality of the body. And in other traditions, it is about the physicality of the body to help cultivate Qi.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Well, we have a rough category. We say Buddhist Qigong, Taoist Qigong, medical Qigong, martial Qigong. Yeah. So Qigong goes Tai Chi. Yeah. People ask, what is Tai Chi? The difference between Tai Chi and Qigong. I say, you want to listen to that? Tai Chi is part of Qigong, right? Yeah. So Qigong is they're so universal among them. Well, actually, the Qigong is the essence of their practice.
Right. Okay.
Because Buddhism, even I think including Christianity, they have some prayer or some ways to make their body mind synchronizes in one. And that practice, because it's going with their belief, so they think it is part of their ritual. They don't call it Qigong, but the practice of cultivating energies to nourish your mind, wisdom, to nourish your loving energy and nourish your vitality energies. These three energies should be synchronized as one. The problem is that we're not
synchronized.
Yeah, we can be very developed one place, then the other place is not so developed, then we begin to suffer.
Yeah.
When we are born, we start with that little cells, and then they grow. The first thing after all the tiny organs, then that is the core here. It's like a super powerful computer processing. This is the second eye,
yes,
right?
Yes,
supposedly.
Yes.
Not only here,
yes.
Our skin, our noses, our lips, hearing, all this. are the extensions of the so-called, or the first eye, or say upper dantian. You collect information. This is processing this. They can even process the information from, we mentioned, past life. In Buddhism, they have a name. They call it chasing eye or recalling eye. They use the eye as the way of your ability. You have recalling eyes, meaning you can recall what happens in the past, even before your birth. Another is chasing eyes, that you can see the future.
Yes.
Because nowadays we're getting close to understand. We mentioned about quantum physics.
Right.
What is time?
Yeah.
Past or future or now, there's no distinctions when you're in that very one moment.
Right.
That's why they encourage you, in Buddhism, they encourage you to practice now. Because now is the only one that is present.
Right.
Only present. You worry about the future, you regret about the past, it just makes you miserable.
Right.
You miserable. So that's the upper dantian. Yeah, upper dantian.
Okay, and then there's the
extensions are all this.
And the ears.
Yeah.
The ears are very important in the.
They go with the organs too, but also that is also a very big part that make us connected with the upper dantian as well.
Okay.
So when your upper dantian is strong and healthy, you feel guided. Then another energy center that is concentrated in the middle of your chest, when it is strong and healthy, you feel loving and loved.
And that's, you call it the center, the middle dantian?
The middle dantian, the middle dantian. And it's like you have a Buddha heart. You're compassionate and always hugging people. The extensions are hands, actually, arms. You know, when we met, what do we do? We hug. Because you want to extend your feelings of love through your branches, right?
Yeah.
Branches. So when this qi is strong and healthy, you feel loving and compassionate. But when it is weak, then you feel closed, like a stone heart. Or you feel fragile, like a easy broken heart, right?
Yeah.
So if you're fragile, feel insecure, feel like sad easily. You feel like you're always in the victim situation.
Yes.
Yeah. Like if you go somewhere, instead of enjoying something, you always find something that makes you uncomfortable.
Right.
That is middle dantian. They're not developed strong enough. Because when the middle dantian is strong and healthy, it feels like you have a few layers of protection. You feel easy even in a very difficult situation.
That's very interesting, because you're saying that you feel compassionate and open, and through that compassion and open and strength of the middle dantian, you also feel protected. Because people usually think, oh, you're open and compassionate, you're vulnerable, but it's protective.
That's right. Because there are two ways. One way is like breathable.
Yes.
Layer of clothes.
Yes.
It's not just one way. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, actually, every now and then in my workshop, people ask this question. They say, if I'm open, what about some bad qi? You know, I'm open too. Then I get hurt. But by just thinking about it, you need to develop this part of here. Because when it is strong here, that kind of bad qi is not bad qi. There's no bad qi or good qi. Yeah, qi is the energy. Yeah.
Right.
The way of using it can be bad and good.
Fascinating.
Right?
Key point. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, gold. We say gold is good. You make a ring, you make earrings. If you put gold into your mouth and swallow it, that kills you.
Yeah.
It's no good. So the energy. But in my newsletter, in my email, I always say good qi, meaning good qi. In good qi, meaning I wish you in the good blessing of the energy field.
Right.
Right. Qi, there's no good or bad. It's just pure energy.
Right.
Pure energy.
Right.
So when you are in that kind of calm and easy situations, receiving, they're all beautiful things happening to you.
Right. So it's almost like something negative is just not experienced as such. It's kind of like, maybe it's a little annoying, but it's like, I love you anyway.
Yeah. First,
you're all right.
Maybe the miserable things in my eyes is happy things. But in the miserable person, it's miserable.
Yes,
That's one possibility.
Yes. Yeah.
Another is that really something that make you miserable, that can be slide away. Actually, we practice Qigong, we find life really changed, enlightened a lot.
You know, your story is so fascinating because you studied during the Cultural Revolution in secret, and this world-renowned master, Xiao Yao, was sort of relegated to working in a boiler room.
That's true.
So your first temple or practice was in a boiler room in secret.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you, and that's the other thing too. You had a heart condition as a child, and he healed you without you even kind of knowing exactly what was happening.
Yeah. He has all kinds of ways of healing. One way is called just gazing.
Through his gaze?
Yeah. His gazing power is amazing. Yeah. He can look at you, then make a change.
Wow.
It's just looking at you.
Could you feel it? Like you could feel it?
You can feel it, but you don't know what it is. Like when after we chatted, he said, well, what happened to you? You're school age, why you didn't go to school? I said, well, I have chest pain. Yeah, doctor asked me to stay at home. I was bored. I come here. Then he stopped. He was gazing at me. I feel the vibes. I feel the very strong gazing, caring. But at that time, I didn't know he was doing the healing. I just feel very special.
Yeah.
For several minutes. Later, when I learned how to do this, of course, he didn't even tell me he was doing the healing. Another amazing thing is that he can use this to stop some violent things without even showing his ability.
And I think about that training with him, and I have to go back to your story that he started you in horse stance, which is kind of like standing in this this. But you're using your thigh muscles intensely, right?
Yeah.
And you were complaining about it after 4 minutes. You're like, what? And then 3 weeks later, you were in it for 4 hours without knowing it.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know can you explain that?
Horse stance actually mainly trains the one we haven't talked about, the lower dantian. Yeah, okay. The lower dantian, like upper dantian wisdom, middle dantian love, lower dantian vitality.
Okay.
Sexual power, birth power are all stored here. So when lower dantian is strong, you have you're vital, of course. You're charismatic. Yeah. You're juicy. You always want to move. You have good energy to perform that. You have very strong willpower also. You can make things happen. Like when you have good plan or good ideas without lower dantian, then halfway you collapse. Yeah. A lot of people have beautiful ideas but never can make it work. We call it armchair professor, right?
Yeah.
Armchair professor. Or a lot of people, even more, I think I was very sympathetic to them. They try 90% of the work, but the last 10% they don't keep.
Right.
Wasted.
Right.
Yeah. Because here doesn't support enough vitality. Also, it helps with good health too. So the horse stance is like you're standing really low position, focus on here, the energy just swamp on here. Really hard,
so you're sort of
Mm.
imagining the energy coming into this space.
Yeah, there's some meditation part, and also some people now I train, some people is already like quite older age, I teach them how to do the wall sit. Yeah,
yes.
Do the wall sit. It trains some special muscle, but more like energy concentration here. After like a very short time, actually, the Bodhidharma teaches this too. His sickly monk, disabled monk or yearly monk, who is ill, after just several weeks of training, their body are transformed. Yeah, body transformed. So one thing after a few weeks of training, he said, I want to test how you guardian qi. This is guardian qi. Guardian qi, the two ways. One is that you can stand hard compact, like people if hit on you, you're more protected. You don't get like injured easily.
Right.
Another is the immune system. So what he did is he got a sledgehammer from the corner and hit on my lower belly here. Bang, bang, very strong. It bounced back like a tire. Yeah.
Okay, so wait, slow down on that. So basically that's what's so fascinating. Through this process, it's not like you're not just going about doing physical exercise, you're doing a meditation and you're cultivating this lower Dantian qi to the point where he hits you with a sledgehammer and it bounces off you and you're not in pain.
Not at all.
And that's profound, right? People don't understand that. And yet this is a process that can be trained, that you can learn.
Yeah. That's the dantian. Dan concentrated. Then when the energy needs, they expand to give you layers of protections.
Right. Okay, so that the laser-like energy expanded to protect you, so it bounces off.
Yeah, bounces off. Including people who is like versatile on you, like bad attitude can make you feel protected too.
Right.
Yeah. Of course, that goes together with the middle dantian as well. Yeah. The oldest one I trained who can really do something like this, 92 years old.
No.
After 3 months, I trained them. Of course, I didn't use the sledgehammer. You know what we did? Chopsticks. Actually, it's even harder. Chopsticks go against here. This is the weakest point. They go, break it.
So you push a chopstick against his throat and it breaks?
Break it.
That's miraculous.
I demonstrated, we did, instead of the chopsticks, we used the spears. Go here. I have a video.
Really,
with
do
my
you?
students. Yeah, I'll show you later.
Yeah, I gotta see it. Well, that's the thing too, when you talk about these kinds of extraordinary feats that Xiao Yao can do, that you can do, that your students can do, which is like, taking a spear at the heart and it just bounces off.
Yeah.
I mean, it does seem like something out of the Matrix. I mean, it sounds like a movie, like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Oh, that part is even more amazing. It's go way beyond this. This is just soft part. So the other amazing things is that to ask me to use the axe to chop on his chest.
Right, that's part of the training. Here, take an axe and chop on my chest.
Yeah, that's not training. That's what he wants to demonstrate me, because I begin to have a little bit doubt. Because he was like very strict. That's early stage. I have to have a little doubt. I said, is this just a bully?
Yeah.
He want to show his power. So first, if you have an axe, chop on here, first you're gonna cut. No, just like white mark, disappear. At first they say, chop here. I used the axe, very heavy. I said, boom. I was afraid I'm gonna hurt him. Boom, nothing happened. Stronger, boom. Of course, nothing happens, it gets stronger until I really swing on it. No problem. My hands numbed. Another amazing thing after that, because people may not believe it, but I experienced it. After that, I say, go out, look at the third trees. All my chopping marks was on there, still dripping from chopping, that fresh, we chop on the skin. That is a bit beyond this mystical, a bit beyond the ordinary mind to comprehend it. In Buddhism, they do have this we call it Xiao Banyun, like you can move things.
Right.
Yeah. So when I was chopping on his chest, he moved the tree in front of here.
So he energetically moved the tree.
Energetically.
So it hit the tree.
It's like you changed dimensions.
Whoa, that is incredible.
Yeah, a few times. It's not one time. I put only one time, but a few times. It's like you're in another world working on this.
Yes. How was that for you? How did you feel in that kind of
I was
awareness?
a little boy, of course.
I know.
Then totally, I was. Well, I want to Kodo. I want to keep on going, practicing, because horse stance at first, it's very challenging. Yeah, you mentioned this. After several weeks, every time when I'm going to practice, this is hard part. Oh my God! Then one day I was holding the position horse stand. Then I was in a trance. It feels like as if someone is putting a chair under my butt. Yeah. Then I was in a trance. When I got back, 4 hours. 4 hours were gone. I didn't have any clue. It's like I just had a great dream. My master was very happy too, because it's like turning points.
Yes.
He said, beautiful, because that anchors the lower dantian qi.
Yes.
Is become to be solid. Before you focus on here, it's here. You don't focus, it goes.
Right.
So now it anchors there.
Yes.
It is after that, with more practice, he can hit me on the lower dantian.
Yes.
So,
and that's like, it makes me think too, that was part of your practice that then let you sleep on a thin rope or a tree branch.
Yeah, there's another inner balance. He said, well, we are off balance because your mind are not so balanced. So he trains me the way to start, like in the rope. Then we hang on both ends of the room. Then he demonstrates, and so easy, like a hammock, right? Like hammock. And then he asked me to do. Of course, I tried the whole night. In the end, I made it. Yeah. Another amazing thing, he said, doing this when you're sleeping, that's even more like amazing too, because it's already very difficult.
Yeah. Why doesn't your body fall off?
Yeah. He wanted you to say, hold the spoon, and go into sleep tonight on here rope. Then of course, when I sleep, boom, bang, you wake up, you pick up, keep going. Yeah. You want to go inside, so you have another eyes internally that watching you, even when you're sleeping, and like how to say, hypnosis way of training your qi. So when you are resting, your qi is still cultivating.
When you're resting, your qi is still cultivating.
Yeah. So your qi are like constantly. That brings another thing. He always say, nourish your qi, nourish your qi, nourish your qi. Allow the qi to work on you. You're not just training the qi. Qi should have ability, chances to train you.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, the qi has better intelligence than you.
So the qi is aware.
Aware. Qi, when he's saying this word, actually he's beginning to using a lot of crossing senses.
Yes.
Like we use the nose to smell. Yeah, we will use the eyes to watch. But many times, especially when he's teaching me the Tai Chi, he always say, listen to my force. The force, you feel it, listen to my force. Yeah. Smell the color. So all this crossing sense.
Yeah, like synesthesia.
For him, there's no distinction.
Because you're using all of the senses and awareness to experience, learn, and cultivate it.
You can use the breathing, use your skin to do the breathing.
Yeah, I love that.
You can even use the skin to eat, to get nutrients.
Yes.
To get nutrients from the air.
Wow.
You know, we have vitamin D.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
That's your skin's digestion.
Of course.
Yeah.
Was that aspect somewhat helpful when you went through the 100 days? The 100-day what do you want to call it? The 100-day training?
We call it 100 days water fast.
But in the dark?
Yeah, in the dark. We call it 闭关. Special name is 闭关. 闭 means close, 关 means close. But inner cultivations, inner awareness. Actually, when he started to teach me, he's talking about 闭关 all the time. He says, someday you should have 闭关. I should guide you 闭关, 100 days water fast, to make it simple explanations. But until later, when I decide to go like more in the way of leading the qi to the healing power, because all those years of training make your energy powerful. This energy can be powerful in your martial art too.
Right.
I got in a big fight in the street, fight, and I won. But that kind of triumph sense feeling lasted only a few seconds. Then I was in big fear because I thought I killed that guy. If you kill someone, you're gonna shot dead.
It's over.
I was so freaked out. Of course, he just passed out. Then I have to go to the hospital, bring him present to see him. Actually, that is my turning point. Like my awareness about the beings. Yeah, because as soon as I entered the room, he was still frightened because, you know, the fear that happens in the fighting was still there. He was so freaked out. Actually, I went to see him. Yeah. Also, when I saw he was so frightened, I got an enlightenment about.
You did?
Yeah. I said, I asked myself, what happened to me? Why at that moment when I was fighting, he was like a monster. I just want to kill him.
Right.
Well,
he had hurt your friend.
He hurt my friend. They used knife stabbed on me. I still have the scars on my back. 3 of them, all taller and bigger than me.
Wow.
I have to try my best, but also that kind of fury was so big. Then when he's showing his vulnerability, then I said, my God, that's just another big boy.
Yeah.
Why I'm treating him like a monster? I begin to question myself.
So you had a great enlightenment, a realization about it.
Yeah, then my master, of course, he punished me first. Yeah, because you lose your emotions. You know, the punishment, nailed down on the washing board, actually against the wall. So they have
a little
angle. Washing board, is
I know.
very painful. Actually, I can handle the pain, but I cannot handle that I let my master down. Yeah. So later, not too long after, he had a conversation with me. He said, well, all these years of training, the energy I taught you can be guided in fighting. If you like, I can keep teaching you more different forms. You know, his way of forms is very interesting. He doesn't use too much weapons because we don't have that much. The most is one sword or axe. Yeah. He teaches me how to use the broomstick. Chopstick is his weapon. You know, one thing amazing is that he like rope. Yeah. The rope that we sleeping on, he'll take it very soft, then he project the chi. Then it's like they begin to charge with something. Get straight. Then you can use that rope to stab on the watermelon. It goes wow. Like a stick.
Fascinating.
Slowly. Yeah. So later he said, if I keep that part, I may go to competitions and all that kind of martial arts contest. You know, the best successful story is Jet Li. He's 1 year older than I actually. Well, we didn't know each other, of course. He was in Beijing, but he won championship in a few years, 3 years in a row. Then a director in Hong Kong found him. Then he will start at, I think, 14 years old, a movie called Shaolin Temple. Wild sale. Yeah, everybody. I watched a million times. Yeah, we love that story. Anyway, that's one part. He said, if you keep, I can keep teaching you. So you're more out. Right. Another is more like hermit. You use the same type of energy, but guided more towards the healing. Yes. He was very democratic and say, well, give you a few days to decide. Tell me which way you want to go. I said, I don't want to wait a few days. I want to do the healing with you. Yeah. Because I already see a few of the healings he did. Among some people knows him well, although he still tried to keep low-key, but some friends know about it. How grateful people was when he was doing the healing and how beautiful. Yeah. And I already swear I want to do that. So when he gave me the opening, I said, I want to do this. That was the time he began to say, well, I'm going to do Big One for you, the 100 days water fast. Then he went back to the monastery. I can only visit him during my summer or winter vacations. Yeah. One day I went there after my summer vacation started. I was expecting I have some beautiful days with all the monks and everything. The first night, all right, he said, let's do Big One. Huh? Now? Okay. Then he brought me to that room. Actually, it's at the basement of the temple. The basement of the temple. It was all stone too. Yeah, right? Also, it's the stone room. About this size. Yeah, smaller. I think it's 2/3 of the size. And then there's another little room for my toilet. That's all. The only light I could see was the lit incense holding in his hands. Wow. Because every day he visited me. bringing the incense. We're talking in the darkness, guiding me to do different meditations and breathing. Then he will put that stick incense a bowl with the rice so they can hold it.
Yeah.
That maybe another hour, then pitch dark again.
Wow.
Yeah. First 20 days, I have jujube in the Chinese dates.
Yes, yes.
3 dates a day. At first I didn't know, then I said, no, this is one meal for one jujube. And that actually trained me to do the mindful eating. He said, this is your meal.
Oh.
Yeah. So one meal, one jujube, I can take an hour to really feel all that flavor, the textures, even trace how it grows.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Then it's just pure water. The amazing thing I mentioned about the breathing, I didn't lose too much weight for 100 days.
Really?
Of course, I didn't weigh, but I know how I look. I don't look like skinny at all. I don't lose too much weight. Well, one thing my master mentioned, he said, your breathing are taking the nutrients from around you.
Wow.
From the air, I always say.
Yes.
Yeah.
So sustaining you in some way.
Yeah, the sustaining. And another amazing thing happening to me is it's like a few lives experience for this 100 days.
Yeah.
All experience that I can experience in an ordinary life, I have it there 10 times, 100 times more intensive. Like joy, like anger, sadness, that kind of feeling, hatred, very intensive. It's just like pop out in front of you, strong. Physically, pain, the coldness, heat.
It was intensified.
Itchy, very, very much. The hardest one actually is the itchiness. It's like millions of mosquitoes or ants are biting on you. But if you move a little bit, it's gone. It's always say the evil mind playing a trick on you. But if I do meditation again, when I reach the level, it comes again until I say, I give up. I'm gonna die. I die like this. I go to the hell. I go to the hell.
It's a surrender.
So when you surrender, then for some moment you're struggling, then you begin to forget who you are. That is the most beautiful part.
Wow.
It's like nirvana. It's so beautiful. You want to keep it forever. Yeah, you don't want to stop. Of course, then they begin to quiet down. You say, oh, I'm back. Yeah. Then you do the other little changes, the breathing, the meditations. Then it goes to another channel to experience different things until it's all cleared.
Like when you're going through these meditations and practice, you're experiencing the itchiness or the anger or the joy or these different emotions or physical experiences. That's part of is it like a trial or part of the process of getting to
you
the
need
nirvana?
To experience it. Yeah.
It's like almost like you can't sidestep it. You have to go through it.
You have to go through it.
So
if you don't go through it, it returns. Then if you go through it, it doesn't come back.
But was it your it's fears like that were kind of withheld in you, or anger, that things were they your emotions, or were it just energies, or both?
It can be both, because the anger, like you can associate with some event,
right?
With some of the stories that you are mistreated. At first, you're angry with that. You have the target, it's easy.
Yeah.
But then you begin just to be angry.
Yes.
That is harder because you don't have the target.
Yeah.
That takes longer time, but that goes too deep as well, because you are beginning to deal with your own karma. Yeah.
Right.
Karma.
So it's like kind of going through some of your karma.
It should be.
I don't know.
Yeah, it should be. The karma, because it's hiding much more deeper. Yeah. There's many times for the people, they don't know why they're cranky.
Yes.
If you know, actually it's already half done.
Yes.
Right? My wife and I, when the first year, a few years, sometimes we got into a big fight when we were cooking. Why? Because we're all both hungry. Then we're cooking, then tiny little bit of things, sparkles.
Yeah.
It's not, but it's wrong. It's just that you are hungry, then you don't know why. But now we know why that ignifies. So anytime when one of us are a little bit impatient, when you're impatient, your words are very dynamic, are explosive.
Yes.
Are terrible to hear.
Yes.
Then we're both alert and aware of this. I say, are you hungry, right? Or are you sleepy? These two things. Yes. Then when you realize this, actually solution is there already.
Right.
No more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But thinking about it, like in that 100 days, you experienced such intensities.
For about 8 days or so, my breath is so slow that you cannot feel the pulse. Yeah, we have a name called a small death. And your breathing are very slow. Normally, like we do 5-6 times a minute of breath, that's normal. How about 2 times an hour?
Really?
So you don't feel it, right? Because it's very slow breathing, very slow breathing. And that is also a critical moment of a change, like transform of your body.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether it's true, but there's a saying, along the Yangtze River, this one part is very steep cliff, and there's some caves, like scarved, in there, and some people call it like doing meditation there, and they die there. They don't want to go; they want to die there.
Oh, they do.
It's so beautiful.
Oh.
And the reason they chose there because we don't have people taking care, like my master does.
Yes.
You need to have a safe place. Because if you are practicing over here, the wolf will eat you. So they stay in the cave. And then they may experience the same as small death. The small death can be very tricky for you to be on yourself. Because you are so slow that you need some high master's help to boost your chi, to make it sustainable. Any moment it stops, you may just go.
Wow.
Big death, right?
Yeah.
Big death. So my master was with me for that 8 days, all the time.
Were you aware that he was there or no?
I didn't, I was just like wandering in the other world.
And you remember wandering in the...
Yeah, very vivid.
Very vividly.
It's like you're traveling to some place.
What did you see?
It's like you experience different life there. Yeah, you go there, it's lifetime.
Wow.
It's very interesting. You had like that 8 days, you have hundreds of lives.
Of your lives or other lives?
It's me, but maybe in another dimension of life.
Wow.
Yeah. And then it comes into awareness. I can still remember it. So true.
Yes.
So vivid. Yeah.
Just like right now.
Just like right now. Like in the dream, but more solid than the dream. Because in the dream, when you wake up, you forget it. That you know.
You know it. You
know. Oh, I'm doing my meditation. You still know.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like it's almost more real. Like it's something that you know.
Yeah, that kind of thing is hard to explain.
Right.
Yeah, how to explain.
Right.
And also after that, my zapping energy.
Yes.
Yeah. Because this big one is to purify my energy. The purification is through fasting, then allow the energy to concentrate. Then my potential energies of healing are sharper. Before I met my master, I do have that kind of gift. I can zap people.
Right.
But I have to focus for 3-5 minutes, then it go. So it's like static electricity. Then people laughing. I thought everybody can do this. I didn't know it's the special gift that my master, he noticed that. Then he amplified, he actually developed that part. So it's after that I can like focus on my energy, then I can transfer it through my fingers or through my forehead to my patients.
Yes.
Yeah. Some people feel it's like,
I felt it. Yeah, my arm went like...
Yeah. Interesting. The sensitivity for some people, it's also different. Some are super sensitive. Some are not. Like you mentioned about your arms.
The first time I saw you, and I was like, what are you doing? Like, are you using something?
Some people, they have this. I said, do you feel anything? They say, I don't. Because they don't sense, the sensitivity is the energy that goes into your, like you know it.
Right.
They don't know it's from here. Because it's like so powerful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's something that's just, so the 100-day fast helped you cultivate that more intensely. And I want to make sure that our listeners hear that, you know, there are stories in your book, and you've shared too, about how, like, using that, taking the life force or the chi through yourself, you know, through the dantians to the sword finger, that you've broken apart, like, you know, literally like tumors and things, and brought the nourishing chi, and people have healed.
Yeah.
And I think about that, like, it's a beautiful, fascinating ability and experience for people that I'm sure are incredibly grateful. And, you know, I think about, like, that experience you had the very first time, I guess, which was with you know, Xiao Yao said, go heal that general. And you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
What if, can I do it, right?
Yeah. Before, I was always doing a little side work.
Yeah.
You know, he would say, pressing your point, so I press into point. The short fingers to kidneys, short finger. So I always like assisting. And he knew I was ready to be independent, but he needed a push. If I say, oh, you do this, until one day we have General Han. Like for me, policemen, and army soldiers, especially the general, is like, my God, they are a very powerful person. They can kill you easily.
Yeah.
So then the army troops send people to ask my master to go treat him. He said, it's very strong infections that is so painful. He has to go back to Beijing, but he has to stay because it's so painful, and also fever and everything. He couldn't travel. And he has a big meeting to go, so he's very anxious. They tried different doctors, didn't work. Antibiotics didn't work. So they say, well, let's try Master Xiao, ask him to go. I was there. He said, I'm busy with something. I sent my students there. That's the first thing. I was actually angry. I said, my God. The first time you sent me to such a big man, right? Yeah. They sent a jeep, several hours of going there. I said, no. You go. I trust you can do it. Yeah. Of course, I have to go, so I'll go there. And at first, I was quite encouraged by this General Han, because I thought, you know, the leader of the army is very serious, always. But his broad laughter.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Of course, when I knocked the door, he said, come in, he's very weak. Yeah. So I did the treatment. I feel like burning sensations from that area. Well, actually, the treatment is simple, just clear it. Yeah, right. Then nourish the chi.
But you felt, when you saw him, you saw it in him, or when you touched him, you feel it, or you feel it?
Normally, I tune myself energy into him by breathing together with the patient, synchronized with some energies. Then we're on the same page, same platform of energy dialogue.
Yeah.
That is the time you can begin to really do the treatment. Otherwise, it's like I'm talking Chinese, you're talking English, we don't communicate. Yeah. So all this preparation work takes about 10-20 minutes. Like, you know, it's like massage, but it's not massage. It is the way of building the platform of working together. Then when it's connected, then they just use the energy work, just clear, nourish, then empower, nourish, send in the light, channel them. Then the healing power in himself begin to work.
It kicks in.
Yeah, so they kick out. Then the second day, yeah, I didn't know it works good. I was still afraid. What if it's getting worse? He could shoot me dead. Right? Then the second day, well, the God brought me there. I knock at the door. His sound is much louder. Come in. Yeah, he's so happy. He was so happy. Yeah, he gave me these watches that he wears that is like very special. Like he's worn. Gave me that, and as a present. And that is the milestone for me to start my healing journey independently.
Yeah.
So my master is like big kick, because otherwise it may take me another half year slowly.
Yeah.
He made it happen overnight.
He made it happen overnight, so that you knew that you had knew that you could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's such a great story. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
It's like your whole like history and all of your stories. It's like you have so many incredible experiences and miraculous moments. And you're so like as you talk about it, there's such like a balance and levity, and I guess it's just I don't even know if there's any. Is there a moment that you would single out as like the most sort of wonderstruck or awestruck or mysterious or like transformational? I mean, you've had so many.
Yeah. Well, first I couldn't imagine what my life would be without meeting my master.
Yes.
For us to meet together is a miracle already.
Yes.
Yeah. And also the amazing effect of how energy can do the healing is always like a big awe.
Yeah.
It's a big awe. And some problems can be like, fatal in this modern science and medicine. For us, maybe it's just like a piece of cake. Some is very challenging for us. Western medicine or science, easy. So it's good compensation.
It is.
Yeah. So when I like have my patients coming, a lot of them are cancer patients or depressions, or they just don't know. They just feel, not well. Always first things I try to see where the blockage is. Then you clear it. Then their own energy begin to work. But I always say, well, I don't want to claim it's me doing the healing, because first it's their own energy. And also it's the combination of all kind of things. Like a lot of cancer patients, they have chemotherapy, they have operation. Yeah. I don't want to stop them. You say always test and try. Yeah. In the end they finish, but you don't want to stop them abruptly, because all this create a kind of echo, holistic echo. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you stop them promptly, still it doesn't work well. Yes. Of course, in the end, they give me a big credit, but I never claim it's me doing the healing to heal them. They heal themselves.
Right.
When their mind is open, and when that mind is following the right channel, always have some miracle happens.
Yeah. Mm. I think it's important, and I'm glad that you said that. There's the two things. That one is the way in which that it's like an activation of their own energy or life force that gets instigated or starts to work to heal themselves, right? That the body wants to heal itself. It just has to be open to it. Yeah. And that, you're sort of a facilitator almost in a way.
Yeah, we just help them.
So I wanted to just thank you for saying what you said about how people have this capacity to heal themselves, and that like the natural trajectory is healing, that the body, the whole being wants to heal. We want to heal ourselves. We want to heal. We want to be whole. And that you, or even in Xiao Yao, that you have these extraordinary abilities, but that you're a facilitator to open those pathways, to let it unfold. And then, what you were saying also about this Qigong method and how it can be blended with Western science, and that something that's really easy in Qigong might be very difficult in Western medicine, and something easy in Western medicine might be harder within a Qigong. That these can be something that can be compatible. Because I think sometimes people think, it has to be this or it has to be that. It's like, no, you have options for both, for all.
That's true. That's what it's supposed to be. There's no prejudice. But now
Right.
we have prejudice, yeah. And for whatever reasons, yeah, we either we don't have enough evidence, or for us to practice, we see it, yeah, we see it. Some just say, don't go to the doctor at all. No, because there are so many beautiful things about the modern science in terms of medicine. So we should open our heart, actually,
Yeah.
open and embrace all possibilities. And that's how I treat my clients or patients, yeah, to be open. Open is not just a single word. It is really go to different layers of energy cultivation. In Chinese, we have the word saying, 哀莫大夫心死, like when your mind want to die, yeah, it's not treatable. Meaning our mind actually is making the decisions of our life. Death and life, actually, quality of life. Well, psychology, they were working on this actually, yeah. And which we already are very good with different layers of cultivations with them, making them aware. The problem is that we say, oh, I like this from word, even from some way I think I believe it, but energetically they're rejecting this. So Qigong is used in a way non-verbal. We not use word. We just use the energy to make the cells, between cells and cells, organs and organs. They agree that magic can happen. Yeah. Then the magic happens.
Can you explain what that means when you're talking about being able to work with Qi in a way that's remote? That it kind of, I don't even know what to say, it goes through the distance or time aspect.
Yeah. Well, the remote healing, there are two understanding. One is that I don't touch you, short finger, that is remote healing, distant healing. Another is that I don't care. I don't mind where you are. You are in China, I still do the healing on you. That is big remote healing. Because first, energy goes with the mind, goes with breathing, goes in the universe. There's another energy channel called central meridian. We have upper dantian, middle dantian, lower dantian, then the central meridian. Central meridian is energy that connects all three dantians. More than that, they go out and connect with the heaven and earth qi. My master, when he was teaching me the ideas of central meridian, it's an energy channel. It's not organ. It's not organ, right? It's not something. It is energy channel. Yeah. Anytime you bring awareness to your central meridian, you become to be the center of your universe. It's a very powerful concept. Yeah. Because nowadays we're always using some other's universe. Everybody has his own universe. Actually, multiple universe. Yeah. Multiple dimensions of your life. But now we're always trying to borrow use the other's value or others' ways to think that is the way that I should do, without bringing awareness internally. So when you connect with your three dantians and connect with heaven and earth qi, your own being are centered by your own energy. That is how Buddha said you have your potential energy, you have everything you have with this way, bring the central meridian. So when you have this awareness in your mind through cultivations, then you can really send the energies out to anywhere. There's no problem with the distance for qi. Yeah, qi goes anywhere, even quicker than the light. Okay, think about Mars. Now my qi is in Mars there.
It's faster than light.
Yeah. So we say the mind is quicker than the mind, than the light. So of course, when we do the remote healing, it's good that you have clients or patients sitting or lying down there. Then we have some certain rituals to connect, like I mentioned about platform of working that we can communicate together energetically. So when the healer, his central meridian is aware that through the practice of some meditations, chanting, and also we have some energy points to work, and also we have hologram palm on your palms that it can reflect all conditions
right.
Then you work on here, then they can begin to be connected through the central meridian. It's like radio stations.
Oh, that's cool.
And that is like a radio receiver. And can amplify it.
Yes.
Then the healing work can start.
That's fascinating. You know, when you were describing all of that, I was thinking, like, somehow it was making me think about that. You wrote a quote in your book where, you know, the idea of enlightenment, or so maybe like waking these centers up, that the universe is waiting to awaken within you. So it almost makes me think of that kind of like infinite, expansive connection. Does that
That's true.
Does that make sense?
Actually, the whole world needs to be awakened.
Yes.
Because when it's awakened, then awakened awareness is the true nature.
Right. No, it's beautiful.
Right.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you
again.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. That was Robert Peng. Thank you so much, Robert. For more information about Robert, his courses, live events, and his new book, The Way of Virtue, Qigong Meditations to Cultivate Perfect Peace in an Imperfect World, visit robertpeng.com. Please come back next time on Wonderstruck, when I'll be joined by another fascinating guest. For more information about Wonderstruck, our guests, and our events, check out wonderstruck.org. And please follow the show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and subscribe on YouTube. We truly want to hear from you with your feedback, reviews, and ratings. You can also follow us on Instagram, X, TikTok, and Facebook at Wonderstruck Pod. Wonderstruck is produced by Wonderstruck Productions, along with the teams at Bailey Newman and Freetime Media. Special thanks to Brian O'Kelly, Eliana Eleftheru, Travis Reese, and Nikki Dindo. Thank you for listening. And remember, be open to the wonder in your own life.